Okay, so how's it going so far? I hope it is going good. You guys are understanding well, and we will do some more exciting things just right now. So where we are right now, we have created this particular page, right? Whenever we refresh it, I'm just getting something just right here. I can click on add, and I can insert a record just right here, isn't it? I can say Smita, mobile number is something, country is India. I'll do submit, and Smita has been added. Okay, so the fetch operation is done. I'm able to fetch the record from the database, and also the add operation is done. I'm able to add the record to the database, right? So fetch and add, fetch and inserts are done. So what's next? Okay, so update and delete is pending. So okay, let's do a work, because we are missing something, guys. I'm going to tell you what we are missing here. So basically what I'm going to do, if I am going to go to my controller, so here you can see inside each of my controller method, maybe it is show student list, just right here you can see that I'm doing some DAO call, right? From my controller itself, I'm doing a DAO call. See, student DAO.load students, and this load students is going to basically going to execute this particular method, which is my DAO method. And similarly, if I'll go back, similarly, whenever I'll be going to here, well, here I'm not making any DAO call, but right here inside the save, I'm doing some DAO calls. See, student DAO.save student, right? So inside my controller method, just right here, save student, I'm doing some DAO or database call, or I'm just calling some of my database helper method, which is basically going to help me to save the student to the database. Nothing fancy in it, but this is not the industry standard approach. So right now, the problem here is, I'll be telling you one thing. If I'll go back to my keynote, I have prepared some diagram for you. So right now, here is what we are having. We are having a controller. Now our controller is going to talk to the DAO, isn't it? From our controller, we are calling the DAO, and our DAO is basically going to talk to our DB. So from here, we are calling some DAO method, and this DAO method is basically going to talk to our database. Maybe it is going to paste some record from the database, or updating the record to the database, or for us right now, it is trying to insert one record to the database. So all these things happening here. Okay, so these things, the actual things that are happening here, my controller are just calling some DAO methods. But here we are going to follow the industry standard, and here we are going to follow the industry standard, and we are going to introduce one more layer. And what is that layer? So right now the controller is going to talk to the service. Okay, the service is going to talk to the DAO. Now the DAO is going to talk to the DB. Okay, so this is the new layer that we have created. Okay, so right now, why I have introduced this particular layer? What is the meaning of a service layer? Why should we have a service layer? Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. But one important thing to notice here, as I said previously, our controller was directly talking to the DAO, and the DAO is basically talking to the DB. Right now, in between controller and DAO, right now in between this guy and this guy, I have introduced a service layer. Okay, so right now my controller is going to talk to my service. The service is going to talk to the DAO. Okay, so now we are going to follow this pattern. So I have one service layer, I have one DAO layer. Okay, so right now here, why we have introduced the service layer. So basically, if I will talk about the DAO layer, as you already know, we are basically writing our DB code just right here inside the DAO layer. Okay, we have created one DAO class. The DAO class name is student DAO IMPL maybe. And inside that, we are writing our DB code, and basically the DAO is talking to the DB. But right here in the service, we are going to write our business logic. I'll be giving you some, examples. What kind of logics that we'll be writing inside the service. Maybe we do not have much logic to write in this particular example, but I try to create some scenario, and I'll be telling you in which purpose we'll be needing the service. Okay, why we will be needing the service? But well, this is how the things works. In the service, we'll write our business logic. So while writing our business logic, there may be some situation, there may be some scenario where we will be needing to connect to our database. So always in your application, any kind of application, if you're going to see, always the service is going to call to the DAO. But for us right now, the controller is directly calling the DAO. Okay, so that's why I'm introducing this layer just right here. So I'll be putting all my DB code just right here and all my business code just right here inside the service. Okay, I'll be telling you maybe 1 or 2 examples so that you can understand. But right now, let's go ahead and let's implement this guy in our project, the service. Okay, so basically, if I'll go back right now, as I have already told you, the controller, if I'll go to my controller, if I'll see the controller, here we have the DAO dependency. Okay, that's why we are doing student DAO dot load student, which is basically going to my DAO methods. It's going to be a DAO methods. And similarly for save, for saving purpose also, whenever we are doing save student, it is directly going to the DAO. So right now we don't want to go to the DAO directly from the controller. Rather, what we want to introduce a service layer. So let's go ahead and let's do that, and let's format our code. Let's do some refactoring of our code. Basically, I'm going to refactor the controller code here. The controller here will no longer make the DAO call. Rather, it is going to make some service call. The controller is going to talk to the service. The service is going to talk to the DAO. Let's implement that pattern just right now. All right, so right now I'm all set to implement the service layer in my application. So let's go ahead and do it. So before I do that, let's see where basically I need a service layer. So let me refresh the page. Okay, so this is where my home page is. I'm going to make it my home page. And obviously in this page, first of all, I'm trying to fetch these records from a database, isn't it? So from my database, I'm trying to fetch these records, and obviously, who is going to handle this thing? Let me copy this URL. So student, let me go to my controller. Let me do Control F, Control V. Look for that particular URL, and here is a match. Okay, this guy is doing that work for me, and basically here I'm doing a DAO call. But right now I don't want to do a DAO call. I want to do a service call, and my service is going to talk to the DAO. So first of all, let me collapse everything, and now let me create a service layer. So let me collapse everything. Let me come to source main Java, do a right click, new, and go ahead and create a new class. So let me go to other. Maybe I'll create an interface. First of all, I'll be following the service design pattern. I'll be clicking on interface. My interface name is going to be, let's say, student service. And obviously, I'm going to put the student service inside a package called com.seleniumexpress.sm, and I'll say .service. Okay. So right now, once it's done, I'll do finish. So my service interface is ready. So inside this service method, I am going to create, inside the service interface, I'm going to create a method. The method is going to be in your real-time code, you'll be seeing that the service methods are exactly same as the DAO method. Okay. For an example, if you'll go to your DAO method name is, let's say, load students. So you'll be also seeing there is a load students method is there inside the service. Okay. So no need to get confused. The name can be same. The name cannot be same. That's fine. You can actually have the same method inside your service, or if you want to give a different name, you can also do that. Okay. For now, what I'm gonna do, let me close this. Let me create another method here called load students. Okay. And obviously this load student method is going to give me a list of student back. So I'll say list of java.list of student. It is going to give me back. So right now, obviously this is an interface and it cannot function. So for the load students, I'll give the actual implementation just right here inside the service IMPL. So I have a service. This is my service interface. Right now I'll create another IMPL class. So I'll go here and I'll say other, and I'll go ahead and I'll create a class, and this class is going to be my student service. Okay, this was my interface, right? Student service right here, and this is going to be my impl class or implementation class, and I'm going to create, or I'm going to add an interface here called student service for this. So I'll double click here, student service. I want to add it just right here. Okay, so right now my class, I'm going to keep it inside the service package, and this is going to be the implementation class for the student service. So I'll go there, I'll do finish. All right, so my service implementation class is right now ready. Why it is giving me an warning? Because I have not saved it here. So now it's gone. So right now over here, I'm going to write the implementation to load the students. But as I said, the service is actually here. I am not going to write any kind of logic. So what I'm going to do here, the logic I have already written for how to load the students. I have already written that logic. Where I have written that logic? I have written that logic inside the DAO. I'll be showing you. First of all, let me close all the unnecessary files. The controller, this is the DAO. Maybe I will open the DAO IMPL. So DAO IMPL is here. Okay, and my DAO is here. Okay, let me right now minimize this and let me show you this. So this is going to be my DAO and DAO IMPL, and this is going to be my service and service IMPL. So right now, how to load the students? Obviously, my DAO knows how to load the students. So inside my DAO IMPL, I have a method here called load students, and this load students method is right now going to help me to load the students. So right now, this DAO IMPL, I want to use it inside my service layer. So I'll go to my service IMPL, and right here, I'll do what? I'll just create an object. I'll create a object of student DAO, student DAO. Okay, and I'll be creating the object of student DAO just right here, and right here I can get the result student DAO dot load students, right? Load students. This guy is going to get me the list of students. So I'll hit Control+1 and I'll assign the statement to the local variable, and I'll say student list, and I can return the student list just right here. Okay, and my service class, in my service class, basically I am going to do a auto wearing of this particular student DAO. So right now the student DAO object will be injected to this guy, and right now inside the load students method, I am doing what? I'm just making a DAO call. So my service is going to talk to the DAO. See, inside my service, I have the DAO, and here inside this load students, I'm going to do what? I'm just making a DAO call, and I'm doing load students. And if I open the implementation, it is going to go to the load students method of my student DAO IMPL. Okay. So right now, if I look for that picture, now my service is going to talk to the DAO, and obviously DAO will talk to the DB directly. Okay, so now I have to establish this link. Now the controller need to talk to the service. So let's see the controller that we have. So this is our controller. Okay, so but inside our controller we have a DAO dependency, because the controller will not have the DAO dependency. I'm going to remove this dependency, but let me have it here. I'll be remove it a little later. So right now, first of all, I'm going to have a service. I'm going to create the service object just right here. So I'll say student service, and I'll say student service. So student service will get me the data. Okay, whatever the data I need, I can ask to the service. The service is going to talk to the DAO. Okay, so let me see. So first of all, this object I will not create. I want Spring to create it. So I will make it auto-weird. Okay, so if I'll make it auto-weird, obviously Spring will create the student service object. And obviously this student service is an interface. I'll go to the implementation of this. The Spring will create this particular object. And to make Spring know that, hey, you are going to create this particular object, I'm going to use add component. I can use add component just right here. But this is the service class, isn't it? So this is a service class, and to make Spring know that this is the service class, I can just write at service right here instead of at components, right? But the service is basically a special type of component. We can write component here, there is not a problem, but as it is a service class, I'm going to use at service. And if I hover over this, you can see the service internally have the component in place. So if I'll go to this, you can see this is the code written for the service class, and we have the add component over the service. So we no need to explicitly write add component. If we write service, then we will get all the feature of the service, and also will be make it available for component scanning, as this particular annotation internally have the add component annotation in place. So let me close it. So this is going to be my service right now. So I'll go back to my controller. So in my controller right now, I am just injecting a service object just right here, student service object. And right now here I will not do a DAO call. I'll do what? I will do student service dot load student. Okay, I'll make a service call. Now that's it, I am done. Now see the magic. Right now where you are, see, you are inside your controller, right? So in a controller, controller handler method, this is your handler method, right? Get mapping, this is your handler method. So whenever somebody is going to fire show student, obviously show student list method will be called, and here basically I am trying to load the data, but here I have written call the DAO method to get the data. I will say call the service to get the data. Okay, now here I'm making a service call. Let me go to this service. If I'll open up the implementation, okay, there we go. I'm inside the service class right now. So inside here I have a service class, and I can make this particular variable private. Okay, so right now I have a student DAO dependency. Right now the service is going to talk to the DAO. So you can see the load students just right here. I'm just doing a DAO call, so I'll go to the load students again, and here inside the service, you can see here inside the service I'm making a DAO call. So let me go there, and there you go, I'm just here inside the load student, and right now this guy is going to talk to the database directly. See, select start from students, it is going to get me the data. Right now this particular query will return you the list of student, and obviously this list of student will be returned to the service IMPL, where is this one. So right now this guy is going to get me the list of student. Obviously this is going to make a DAO call, and that call only get me the list of student, and this is what it is returning just right here. So that in my controller right now, whenever I'll make a service call, this is actually going to get me the list of student, and once I get the list of student, I can send this list of student to the view by attaching it to the model. So it's pretty similar as this. Now the controller is calling the service. Now service is going to call the DAO. The DAO is going to call the DB. See here, the controller is going to call the service. If I'll open the implementation, see, load students is there inside the service. Okay, now the service is going to make a DAO call. See, if I'll do load students, open implementation, now it is going to make a DAO call. See, this method, this load students method is inside the student DAO IMPL. So here basically the actual work is getting done, and this guy is connecting to the DB. But here is the important question: why we are doing it? Why we have added this extra step? Why we have added this service layer? And because if I'll go to my service layer, here basically I'm making a DAO call, that's it, and I'm returning, once my DAO is getting me the result, this same result I'm returning just right here. So instead of having this particular service, I can directly have the DAO call just right here, isn't it? So why I'm introducing this layer inside the controller? That's the right question. Let's talk about it. Alright, so let me talk about the service layer, why we need that. Let me talk about some scenarios. But before that, one thing is bothering me. Inside this controller right now, I want to delete this DAO layer, because as I said, my controller is going to directly talk to the service layer. So let me delete it, and obviously I'm going to have a problem. I can see an error here. Let me go there. Here previously inside the SAP student, I was directly doing a DAO call, and right now I'll be doing a service call here. So I'll say student service dot SAP student, and obviously inside the student service, I do not have a method called SAP student. If you see here, right here, I do have only one method called load students inside the student service. So I need to create this particular method called SAP student. So let me hover over here and let me say create a method SAP student, and that is going to be inside the student service interface. Let me click here, and there you go. So Eclipse has created a SAP student method for me, and it's there inside the student service. So right now I need to do what? My method is there created by the Eclipse, and I'm going to write the implementation in the service IMPL. So I'll go to the service IMPL right now, and right now I'm going to hover over here, and I'm going to say add unimplemented method, and there you go. I'm done. So right now the SAP student method is got created for me. So here I just need to add the code, and obviously I don't have to write anything, just right here. Here inside my service IMPL, I have the reference of student DAO. So I will say here student DAO, student DAO dot, so student DAO dot, and here I'm going to call the SAP student method, and I'm going to pass in this particular student just right here, and there you go. I'm done. Okay, so now let's go to the controller. Let me save it, and you can see the controller code is very, it's pretty nice right now. We have not done anything. I have just changed the DAO reference to service reference. So here, do a DAO call. I don't have to do a DAO call. Do a service call to save the student. So right now we can see the student controller. Inside student controller, I just have a reference of student service, and if I'll go there, here inside this particular method called save student, I'm doing a service call, and I'm saying student service.save student. If I'll open the implementation, here I came to the service method. You can see the service student service IMPL. Here I have the SAP student, and obviously here inside this service class, you can see I'm inside my service class. Inside my SAP student method, I'm basically doing a DAO call. So I'm doing student DAO.SAP student, and if I'll go to the open implementation, this is my implementation for SAP student. So 3-layer. Go back. This is my controller, right? So from my controller, I'm going to the service. So from my service, I am going to the DAO. So if I'll open up the implementation, I should be go to the DAO. That's it. Right now, this particular pattern I have implemented across my project, isn't it? It should be good. So let me test this out one time, whether my application is actually working or not, and then I'll be explaining you that why we need the service layer and why we have introduced this layer just right here. But you can see already right here business logic just right here, and I'm going to give some example that why we need this particular layer. The more you are going to code in future, the more complex project that you will be building, you'll be understanding the benefits of this. But this is a good pattern right now, the design pattern right now, but we have to follow it for now. But I'll just give you kind of an idea so that you will have that satisfaction that, oh, for that reason, we need the service layer. Okay, let me tell you about that. So, well, my server has started. So right now, let me test my application one time because I have done a lot of code changes. Let me do refresh right now. Let me see whether the things are working fine or not. Looks like I'm able to load the data. And if I'll do a add, obviously I'm getting this screen. Let me try to add something. Let's say Surjit, and mobile number is something. Country is, let's say, UK. Let me do submit. Well, so Surjit is added to the list. So my code is working fine. Okay, so right now let's go ahead and let's try to understand why we need to introduce the service layer. What kind of benefits we are going to get out of it, and what kind of code that we'll be writing inside our service layer, and why we basically need that layer. So guys, I'm trying to give you a requirement right now. Try to understand the requirement. Don't think so much, just understand the requirement. So the requirement here is pretty simple. The requirement here is whenever I'll be trying to add a new student, let's say if I'm going to go ahead and if I'm going to click on this add button. So whenever I'll be adding any new student, if he is from UK or if she is from UK, she should get an welcome email. Okay, so I want to send a welcome email to that student who is from UK. So while adding, let's say I'm adding a student, let's say I'm adding somebody called, let's say Gauri. Okay, and the mobile number is this. Okay, and the country is from UK. So see here, Gauri is from UK. So when I do submit, Gauri will be added to the list, obviously. The data should be saved in my database, which is happening fine just right here. But one more thing, she should get an email also. Okay, so where should I write that email sending code? Okay, now see your layers. So you have controller layer, service layer, DAO layer, and your database is here. So you are going to write the code here inside the DAO, or you are going to write the code here inside the service. That's what I'm trying to ask. Okay, so as I told you already, we'll be writing our requirements, our business criteria just right here inside the service layer. I told you whenever a person whom I am adding to this particular list, when he is from UK, only send them a welcome email. So if I'll be adding Avilash here, he will not get an email because he is from India. Only send the email to that person who is from UK. So the way to achieve it, let me close everything just right here. I'll go step by step. Let me go to controller. First of all, tell me where I'm saving my student inside this controller. So obviously I'll go all the way to down. This is my save student method. And here is when I'm trying to save the student. So right now here, basically I'm trying to do a service call. If you see here, this is my service class reference, and right here I'm doing a service call. If I'll go to the save student method, here right now I'm inside the service class. Inside where? The service class, student service IMPL. So right now here inside the save student, I am going to write the business logic. Okay, so write the business logic. Okay, whenever I say business logic, maybe it means the company, your company criteria. Okay, so your company criteria, whatever the criteria, business criteria your company has, those codes you have to write here. So you can check here right now. So look at here, I'm inside the service class right now. So I'll be saying here that if the student, okay, this is the student that I'm sending from my controller. If you remember, if I'll go to my controller, whenever I'll be calling the save student, I'm passing in this student, right? This student is basically, I'm trying to do the data binding here, or I'll be trying to capture the data from my request parameter or from my URL parameter, and those data is getting binded here, and the actual student data I'm passing here inside the save student. So inside the save student right now, right here, I have the data available for this student, and I'll be checking here. If the student dot get country, if this is going to equals to UK, okay, then write the email sending logic right here. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. Okay, but I won't be writing any kind of logic here, but I will just simply say sysout mail sent to, then I can say plus and the student name, student dot get name. Okay, just trying to log in something here. I'm not actually writing the actual logic, but the actual logic I can just write here inside this save student method and mark that this save student method is basically my service method. Okay, so whenever I will have some business criteria, this is a special criteria given by my client, and I'm putting it inside the service layer. Okay, so right now let me quickly show you how basically the flow goes. Okay, so right now let me go to the controller. So when the save student is going to be get called, I want to put a breakpoint. There is already a breakpoint. I want to put another breakpoint here in the line number 53. So make sure this particular method is there inside my controller, okay? And right after that, when there will be a service call, I will go to the service, and also I'll be putting a breakpoint here in the line number 37. I'll be also putting a breakpoint in the line number 42. Okay, so here in the line number 42, after the email is sent to the user, if he is from UK, then only the email will be sent, and after that, obviously the record will be saved. Why the record will be saved? Because I am doing a DAO call here, and here is actually my original logic is there, right? So there is already a breakpoint just right here, and we are going to see the flow just right now. So let me close it. Let me close it. Let me do save everything. And obviously I'll do stop my server, and this time I'm going to start my server in debug mode. So let me start it in debug, and let me see that for one last time. Then we can proceed to the next thing. Just making sure the things are on place and everyone on the same page. So for an example right now, if I will be going here, let me insert a student. The student name, let's say, is going to be, Balaram, and the mobile number is going to be something, okay? The country is going to be, let's say I'm going with India right now. Okay, so if I'll do submit, first of all, it is going to go to my controller. So it is asking me to switch. Let me switch to the other perspective. So right now, see here that right now I am inside the save student URL. This is inside my controller. So let me do step over. So it is going to the save student method. Let me do resume. Let me click on this resume. You will be seeing that right now it will go to the student service save student method. So if I'll do a resume, so it went to the save student method right now, but it did not went to the if block. The if block did not get executed. Why? Because if I hover over here, the student that I have here, he is from the country India. So this particular block should be returning false. So if I do Control Shift I here, obviously if I do Command Shift I, you can see the country is India, right? So obviously it is not equal to UK. So can I do Control Shift I over this? Okay, the request is timed out. That's not a problem. If I'll do Command Shift I over here, you can see that this is getting false. So that's why this if clause is not get executed. And if I'm going to do resume again, right now it is going to go to the student DAO save student method. It is going to go to the save student method of student DAO. So if I'll do resume, so you can see now it came here, and if I'll do step over, you can see that the record will be inserted to my database, okay, and the mail will not be sent to the student as he is from India. And those kind of filter, if I do resume, you will be seeing one record updated, and if we'll go to the database, obviously the Balaram will be updated. If I'll do where is my table? I did truncate the table. I suppose not to do that, but I did truncate the table by mistake. Obviously there will not be any record, but you can understand that Balaram should have come here because I have saved the record. But let's do one more work. So if I'll go to insert title, if I'll do refresh the page, obviously right now if I'll be refreshing, there will not be any data. Let me try to enter a data right now who is going to be from US. Let's say I'm trying to enter a data called Avilash. His mobile number is going to be something. Right now the country is going to be UK. Right now let's see what is going to happen. If I'll do submit, obviously the flow will go to the controller first. Alright, so right now I'm here in my controller right now, save student method. So it's inside the controller, as you can see. If I'll do step over right now, it should go to the service class save student method. So let me do resume, and you will see right now this time it came to the if block, because right now the student that I have entered, he is from UK, and here only I am doing that filtering. Inside my service class only I am doing that filtering. And right now if I'll do step over, you can see mail sent to Avilash, because Avilash is the guy who basically is from UK. And right now if I'll do step over again, it should go to the save student method, and this particular call made from the service method. And right now I'm inside the DAO method, and if I'll do step over, step over, step over, obviously the update happened. And if I'll do step over again, one record updated, resume it, and obviously you can see inside your database right now. If I'll do select it, Abhilash is there. And also if you see the console, the mail is sent to Abhilash. The mail will be only sent whenever that student is from UK. That's the logic we had to implement, and we had implemented it just right here inside the service layer. So student service, go to the implementation. Here only we have written that logic, and exactly if you see this piece of code, this is the logic, this is our business criteria that we have written inside our service method. So that's your answer. Why do we need that? But I'll be giving you some more complex example as we are going to create some more complex project. All right. But that's the fundamental. That's the foundation. Now let's go ahead. We are talking too much on the basics right now. Now let me go ahead and let me introduce a, a update button just right here. First of all, let me insert few records. Let me say, maybe I'll say Arthi. Mobile number for Arthi is going to be something. The country, let's say UK. Submit. And obviously right now I can skip the breakpoint and I'll resume the program. I don't want my breakpoint to bug me. Okay, so Arthi is inserted. And obviously, I got 5 number of records. So what I want right now, let's say right now, if I want to update Happy country or Sudhir's country or this guy's country to UK, then how I'm going to do it? Or if I want to change Arti's name to Arti Mishra, then how I am going to basically update it? So let's work on the update stuff right now, and let's see how we are going to give the user who is going to use our application an option to update the name or the mobile or the country. Okay, so let's see that right now. So obviously let's work on the update stuff right now. That's coming up next.